Welcome back to Falkett Figures, where today I'm going to be unboxing some vintage Terminator 2 figures released by Kenner in 1991. I have been looking at this toy line for a while now. This is a toy line that I can remember really clearly from my childhood, from growing up. It's a toy line that I had a couple of. I wasn't hugely into it. I didn't have many more than just two or three of them. But I remember them being on the shelves. I remember having a couple of the figures, and it's something that I have been looking at for a while. But it is a fairly extensive toy line. I don't think I realised it when I was growing up how big a range this actually is. So I've landed on these two figures, which are the White Hot T1000 and the Meltdown Terminator. So the reason I went for these guys, because as I say, there were options, and we'll have a look at that on the back of the card in a second, but these guys work together. So the T1000 changes colour when the Meltdown Terminator sprays water on them. So it's like a gimmick that links the two figures together, which I thought was pretty cool. And I also thought it was pretty cool that it's making this figure do more or less what the character did in the movie, because this, I'm assuming everyone's seen Terminator 2, but in case anyone hasn't, this character is made out of liquid metal. So that version of the Terminator is made out of liquid metal, and he can morph and remold himself, whereas he's a kind of rigid skeleton with like human flesh over the top. So he melts and reforms and reshapes. And when he did that, he would sort of change his color, change his transparency. So that's pretty cool that that's what the figure's going to do. It's going to change color to look like he's morphing, look like he's melting. I mean, for 1991, I think that's a decent little gimmick for a figure range. So that to me stood out straight away, and that's why I thought, yeah, I think I'll pick up these guys. So as I say, it was a fairly extensive figure line. This is the first wave that you can see in the back here. Or maybe actually second wave, because these guys have got new on them. So yeah, maybe this is the second wave of figures. But yeah, I think it is. I think these are additions, because I remember these guys coming out first with the kind of red vest on. And something I've complained about in previous videos with toy lines from this kind of era is that they don't really represent the characters from the movies that well. I don't think that that's an issue here. I mean, I think if you look closely at the Terminator figures, more or less look like Arnold. You know, these two look kind of like he did in the movie, and this battle damaged Terminator, if you can see the bottom, he comes with like a body plate you can put back on. Looks more or less like Arnold. I think no issue with that really. And the T1000, so there's a T1000 there. I think that's decent for Robert Patrick. The one right at the end, exploding T1000. It's got his kind of his sword-shaped arm, which was one of the kind of iconic scenes in the movie where he just stabs John Connor's step parents through a milk carton with his sword-shaped hand. That looks for me like Robert Patrick. I think that's fine. And even so, there's John Connor. I mean, to say he looks like Edward Furlong would probably be an exaggeration, but it looks like John Connor though, because you know he's wearing the same outfit, he's got the same hairstyle, also comes with a dirt bike. I mean, I'm happy with that in terms of a representation of the John Connor character. Yeah, so no issues really. The only kind of small gripes I have with this line anyway, this wave if you like, is that other T1000, the Blaster T1000, which is when he's wearing his kind of road traffic cop gear, obviously, so it's a different appearance. But I mean, just look at the face on that. That's not Robert Patrick at all. I mean, you can tell the two T1000 figures next to each other, they look like completely different characters. You know, the one that's the Blaster one, the traffic cop one, that is just not anything that looks like how it should. So that's the only issue really with the figures, I think. And the only other issue with the entire line would be amongst the vehicles. So this mobile assault vehicle down the bottom here, what is that? I mean, that was never in the movie. That never featured at all. No car really featured, and certainly not an open top car with a rocket launcher strapped to it and metallic silver flames. No, that was never part of the movie. So that's just again nonsense, a money grab. However, they kind of redeemed themselves with a bike, because the heavy metal cycle there, that looks almost exactly like the Harley Davidson Fat Boy that Arnold was riding in Terminator 2. So yeah, don't have any issues with that. And this thing over here is pretty cool as well. That's the Bioflesh Regenerator playset. So yeah, that's where you would build your own Terminator essentially. Put your skeleton in and you mold the flesh over him. So that was really cool. I remember seeing that toy advertised when I was younger and thinking it would be really cool to have, but I don't think I ever behaved well enough to get my hands on it. So yeah, so all in all, the line at this point is doing okay. I think it's a fair representation, but after that, it kind of lost its way a little bit because they started adding in wave after wave, and they started kind of expanding into the lore of Terminator and the story behind this movie, and they released what they called Future War figures. So they were based in essentially the battle for humanity between man and machine, and they were just releasing some crazy figures, like crazy shaped Terminators with different gimmicks and stuff, and it just got a bit out of hand. But anyway, we won't worry about that because we're sticking to the early part of the series, and we are going to crack open the T1000 and the Meltdown Terminator. And here they both are. So here is the T1000, the white hot T1000, and here is the Meltdown. Is it Meltdown Terminator? Yeah, Meltdown Terminator. So in terms of the actual figures, these guys are, I mean, they're fairly basic in so much as they don't have any like action features or anything like that. But I suppose you're okay with that because they do have this kind of gimmick that I'm going to get to in a minute where one makes the other one change colour. But it's a decent figure. It feels relatively robust. You know, he only has the kind of basic points of articulation. So the arms move, the legs move. I don't think his head doesn't move, and neither does his waist. So he's only got 4 points of articulation. But I do really like this chest feature. The fact that he's got all this kind of damage on his chest and you can see through into his skeleton, like that's fairly detailed. And you can actually see like underneath. So it looks like it is a whole other layer. So that's pretty cool. I do like that. And I don't know what these crazy camel bottoms he's wearing are. Like some kind of bonkers. Where would that be a camouflage for? Would that be like stone? It wouldn't be snow. But I don't know if it'd be stone either. Like blue, turquoise blue and black. Yeah, so he's going to be camouflaged somewhere. Maybe in a nightclub. Who knows? But yeah, decent figure nonetheless. Quite happy with that. And the T1000, he's the same except for his waist moves. I don't know why that is. I wonder why one's waist moves and the other doesn't. And his head moves as well. So actually, that is weird. So it must just be something to do with like the skeleton bit underneath on the Terminator figure. Because otherwise, why would you not make his neck and his waist move as well? But this is just again a fairly basic figure, but it does the job. You know, it looks. I don't know if you can see close up. It looks reasonably like Robert Patrick. I think that's okay. Like it's certainly like the character it's meant to be. That's meant to be sort of human face, and then the other side is the kind of machine metal part underneath. So it is reasonably detailed. And if you look close, I know it's all kind of transparent if you like in colour, but he is wearing the police uniform like it was from the movie. So decent figure, but does the job anyway as a figure. But the real reason that I bought these guys was to try out their gimmick. So let's just have a look at that. So I've now got the backpack on the Terminator, but as you can see, that does not fit at all. I mean, I don't know if it's just because it's been in the packet for 30 years, but that is not going to stay on the way it's meant to. It's popping up like over his head almost. But we'll give him a pass for that because it may just be because it's been packed for so long. But so what it tells you to do is stick the gun in some water, some warm water, as I've got here. Give it a squeeze, give the backpack a squeeze until it sucks up some water. Hopefully we can see. We can see it going up the tube there. Yep. Then we put the gun on his wrist, Should have said actually the T1000, even though for the purposes of this experiment, he's really just a cannon fodder, he does come with his own weapon. He's got a rocket launcher that, oh, stand up bud, there he is. He's got a rocket launcher that clips onto his arm pretty well and fires, so yeah, that's a bonus. But the real reason that we want to play with these toys is for this. So there we go. As he sprays onto the T1000, I was going to say literally nothing happens, but I think his face has actually changed colour a bit. Yeah, his face is changing colour. So that's pretty cool. His face is going more kind of yellow or gold, I think. Not hugely, but there's certainly a change. But yeah, so I suppose it works. You never expect these things to work really well. Actually, his legs now look like they might be. Maybe you have to leave it for a bit, because that looks like it is starting to change. So we'll let him stand there and see if anything happens. But yeah, it works, I think. I don't think I can say it doesn't work. It does change colour slightly. Bear in mind it's been in the packet for 30 years as well, so it may not be as effective as it once was. But I'll give it a pass, man. I think that's cool. I think it's working well enough. Well as could be expected anyway. So I suppose this would be a good place to end the video, but I just want to chuck in that whilst I was looking for these figures, even though I went for the two that had the gimmick, the two that had the interaction with each other, I could not resist, and I had to pick up John Connor as well. So just for nostalgia's sake, I'm going to crack him open, and once I finish filming this video, I'm going to go and I'm going to play with John Connor on his dirt bike, just like I did when I was 9 years old or 8 years old, however old I was when these movies came out. But there we go. Hands on handlebars. That is one of the coolest toys of my childhood. So absolutely delighted to get him back out the packet. He's going to go up on the miscellaneous shelf, and he's going to take pride of place there. So that's it for this video. Open it up a wee bit so you can see John. That's it for this video. Please feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you think about these toys. Let me know if there's any other toys that you want me to try and get my hands on to open up and have a look at. Subscribe to the channel. Click for notifications. Share through social media. Stay safe, and we'll speak soon.